Hey guys, welcome back. So with getting back into the 2023 Cosmic Ghost Rider series, as this continues, not only are we getting the return of the Rider, but also with there being a reveal of a second Cosmic Ghost Rider, we are witnessing the build-up to the inevitable face-off between the two of them. So with that said, let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch your spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so with how this begins, we find ourselves on an unnamed planet at the far end of the galaxy. And initially we're shown a bunch of people just going about their way in this marketplace until a golden falcon just comes swooping through to then fly on top of the arm of Monarch Starstalker. And really with how it's done, it feels like a very cinematic entrance for a guy who either some people don't remember or most people don't even know about. But because I know that you guys are just dying to know who he is, I'm gonna take a few just to do a really quick run through on his backstory. Because Monarch Starstalker originally appeared in Marvel Premiere issue 32 back in 1976, and originally he came from reality 7642, where in that universe humanity had colonized a number of planets, and for Starstalker, while he was piloting his rig, which at the time was connected to his nervous system, he was caught up in the crossfire during the Independence War, and the damage to his rig wrecked his nervous system and erased his memory. But soon after he was picked up by a neutral ship with robotic technos who built him an android falcon as a telepathically linked replacement for his nervous system, and 7 years later he became a bounty hunter. And as we find him here on this planet at the end of the galaxy, it's here where we find that he's tracked down his bounty. And it's a bit of a weird situation here, because with him finding his bounty, and of course with the aid of his faithful nervous system Ulysses, it's here where we discover that his bounty is actually Ambassador Karan of the Shi'ar. And initially for Starstalker, it comes to him as a surprise, but it isn't long before he tells him that it doesn't matter if he's an ambassador or not, because the client wants him dead. But before Starstalker can squeeze, Karan terminates the bounty, and it quickly makes it clear that he set the bounty on himself just to get Starstalker to come out here and meet with him. Which for Starstalker, initially he looks at this as a waste of his time, and even when he's told by the ambassador that he wants him to capture the Cosmic Ghost Rider, he laughs at the idea of the ambassador doing this and going through all this trouble to get someone to kill the Cosmic Ghost Rider, because Starstalker knows how tall of an order that is. But the ambassador corrects him and he tells him not kill, but capture. And even still, Starstalker, he's just like, look man, get your Imperial Guard to take care of it, because either way, killed or captured, he's not trying to die over the Shi'ar Empire's disputes. But with saying this, as soon as Starstalker walks away, he's met by a group of B2 super battle droids. And I mean seriously, they're not, but I'm sure you guys can kind of see the resemblance. But nonetheless, on this planet, they're just responding to the disruption that was caused by Starstalker and his slightly over the top yet still destructive entrance. But even with these droids coming after him, he handles them quickly by deflecting their shots with his shields and sending out his Falcon Ulysses to just slice through the rest of them. But then it's here where the ambassador begins to explain the severity of all this, because he tells Starstalker that the Cosmic Ghost Rider isn't who he used to be. And just last week, the Rider attacked a casino on the outskirts of the Theta Quadrant, which was under Shi'ar protection. And because diplomatic relations prevent the Shi'ar from sending their Imperial Guard, he needs Starstalker to do this. And for Starstalker, with him knowing that the ambassador really has no other choice, is here where he then starts asking how much he's gonna get paid to do it. And with the ambassador telling him that he'll pay 100,000 credits, which is 20,000 more than he offered the last guy, it's right here where Ulysses, the Falcon, tells the ambassador that it's gonna be 200 bands, because they know that the last guy that the ambassador sent out is most likely dead. And with the ambassador having no one else to send out, Starstalker's charging the premium. But after this, we then go back to Marlowe's bar, just seconds after Crow, shot Marlowe right in front of his daughter Axel. And with Frank having Crow at gunpoint, Crow tells Frank that he can't kill him. And right away, Axel grabs a broken bottle and she jams it in Crow's eye while telling him that she can. So where from there, she doesn't stop with the first stab, but rather she keeps on going and going and going until eventually Frank tells her that that's enough. And perhaps under different circumstances, it would have been okay for her to keep going. But for Frank, he knows better than anyone the pain that she's going through. So he stops her, and not only for going overboard, but also because he realizes that they can't stay here. Because if this guy found his way here so easily, chances are that there are others coming, and Frank doesn't want Axel to be here when that happens. And from here, he lets her know that he's got to get her off this planet and find her a safe place to stay and lay low for a while, because whoever sent Crow, they're not after her. So when she leaves, they're not going to follow her. And really, it's in this moment with Frank saying this with such confidence, as well as Axel remembering the things that Crowl had said, with him entering the bar and being after Frank. She then punches Frank in the face, puts a gun to his head, and demands that he tells her who he really is, because as far as she's concerned, he's the reason that her father's dead. And it isn't long before Frank just tells her that he's the Cosmic Ghost Rider, but he doesn't know why someone wants him dead, because he hasn't changed in a long time and he's retired. But with Axel, with her hearing Cosmic Ghost Rider retired, she doesn't know what that means. And Frank tries to let her know that now isn't the best time for him to explain everything, because they need to get out of there before someone else shows up. But we quickly come to find out that it's a little too late for that, because Starstalker has already found them. And now that he has the both of these guys pent up in the corner, Axel tells Frank if he's the Cosmic Ghost Rider, then he needs to prove it. But for Frank, he once again tells her that he's retired and that's not something that he does anymore. But for Axel, and understandably so, she tells him that it's more of a case that he won't and not that he can't, because just moments ago, her father had a gun to his head and Frank didn't do anything. He wouldn't do anything. And she tells him if that's how he wants to continue, that's fine. But she's not gonna just sit around like him, knowing that she could do something. And from here, where Axel jumps out from cover and goes after Starstalker, it's really like one of those moments where you tell your teammate not to push and they do it anyway. Because for one, none of her shots get to him, with Starstalker putting his shields up, to where then next his hawk, Ulysses, just swoops in and knocks her down. And now with him having Axel at gunpoint, he more or less tells her, like, yeah, the bounty was to bring in the Cosmic Ghost Rider alive, but he doubts that the Shi'ar would even care if he killed her in the process. And just before he could squeeze, we find that Frank is fully transformed and back from his retirement. But even with Frank transforming into the Cosmic Ghost Rider, he notices that something isn't right, because usually Frank would be able to make his chains, which were made from the bones of Sidorak, go crazy with the Hellfire. But as it stands now, in this moment, he can't do this, because for some reason it just ain't happening. And it causes Frank to know in this moment that something's going on, because his powers ain't working right. And it's with seeing this where we then jump over to the new Cosmic Ghost Rider, where in his case I use the term new loosely, because even with his story and his identity being a bit of a mystery at the moment, we're given information here and there that makes it seem as if we're in for a huge plot twist. But at this point, with Cosmic Ghost Rider number 2 continuing his killing spree, which again is what has these bounty hunters coming after Frank, the original Cosmic Ghost Rider, with most of the galaxy only being aware that there's one. But it's here where the second Cosmic Ghost Rider tells this Omnian priest to have a seat with him, join him for a drink, and he even promises the guy no guns. But as they sit and have their conversation, the priest lets him know that all of these guys weren't bounty hunters, but the Ghost Rider doesn't really care, and he goes on to tell the priest when you're wanted dead or alive, you don't really stop to make the distinction. But then the priest tells the Rider that he's wanted dead or alive because of the crimes that he's committed, and in response, this Ghost Rider tells him that for a priest to want him dead, it really goes against his teachings. But the priest lets him know that he believes in justice, because one doesn't need religion to know that the slaughter of innocents should be punished. But with saying this, the priest takes another sip, and the Rider's like, how you judging me? And you sipping on an intergalactic Jack Daniels. But then in a moment's notice, it starts to get a bit tense, because the Rider goes on to say, you believe in reincarnation, priest. And right there, the priest is like, is that a question? But then the Rider goes on to ask him, do you believe that your past lives could ever bleed into the present? Through visions or dreams or something like that, as the Rider stands up and grabs another bottle of that Jack. And I mean, it's not really Jack Daniels, but you see why I'm saying what I'm saying. But it's here where the priest asks the Rider if he's actually having visions or dreams or something like that, because dreams have been thought to link us to our innermost self, to our innermost desires and fears. But the Rider cuts him off right there, and he asks the priest, do you think it's my desire to show weakness? Do you think I fear anything? And right away, the priest, in a panic, he tells the Rider, you promised you wouldn't hurt me. But in response, the Rider's like, no, I promised no guns. And with saying this, he pulls one of the spikes out from his shoulder, to where in this moment, he then gets ready to stab the priest. But then just before he can, he is then stopped by Valkyrie. And even though we don't really know at this point where this lands, as far as what we'd seen with Valkyrie in the Thor series, even still I imagine that the body count that this second Cosmic Ghost Rider's been racking up has been very noticeable from the eyes of a Valkyrie. And as this wraps up, we know that this confrontation, along with the multiple bounties that have been sent out on Frank Castle, are building up for the two Cosmic Ghost Riders to finally meet, as well as the mystery of the new Rider getting revealed. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below. where you can go to patreon.com/Dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.